My name is Carissa Brewster. I am the writer for Whitman Partners, and welcome to 40 Best and Future Leaders of Surgical Services. Today we have Sarah Orial, who is the nurse manager for the main OR and urology at Queens Medical Center in Honolulu, Hawaii. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. In my opinion, I think it's the continued staffing challenges that everybody's facing across the country, probably globally, actually. Um, and also just financial constraints. I think most places now are still trying to recover from the hit that they took from COVID. And so trying to ramp back up surgeries, but then um, with our staffing challenges and using temporary staff, that it's more costly. So trying to find that balance, I think that'll continue to be a challenge. I know at my previous place and at Queens where I'm at now, we've really worked on hiring new grad nurses into the OR, which when I started in the OR a long time ago, that was kind of unheard of. You had to kind of have experience, and there weren't, really a lot of positions open in the operating rooms or any of the specialty areas. But that's really changed as we've had our nurses that trained me. They've retired, and a lot of people have gone traveling. So I think really opening that up to new grads um, and new to specialty. So, getting out there and recruiting, being creative with that. Our hospital has had a couple of recruiting events, but trying to get the OR, they've had the leadership from the OR team go because so many people don't know about the OR. And then also going to the nursing schools too and trying to catch them, getting the opportunity to speak with different nursing groups so as they get closer to graduation, because even during school, their exposure to the operating room is so limited. So we try to get them interested and tell them it is an option. They can apply there as a new grad. And also with the organizations that are affiliated with nursing schools that have the students come in for clinicals, we try to get them to maybe shadow in the OR when they're there for clinicals, follow one of their patients through if they're going to have surgery, just to get them exposed to that so they can see it firsthand. That's been helpful. And then just being as creative as possible with staffing and kind of self-scheduling and creative with our schedule, letting people adjust their shifts, because we have been running later in the day. So trying to work that out where we have coverage later and it works for both the unit and the person as well, so that they can have a work-life balance. And sometimes there's some constraints with our rules, and if you're a union hospital, there's sometimes with staffing that there are some constraints, but you're able to, I think, trying to work with that and still be as creative as you can. That helps a lot too with staff satisfaction and kind of hopefully retaining your staff that you have and recruiting new staff too.
I have a follow-up question. So, like you said that back in the day, like it was kind of difficult to get into specialties like the OR. You had to have the experience before people would let you in there. Is that kind of how it was?
Yeah. And which is like, how do you get the experience if nobody will let me? Or they're like, they want you to have 2 years of like med surge, like a generalized nursing experience before even applying or before they would even look towards you. So more like a new to specialty, not a new graduate nurse. But I think with the development of a lot of places use the Peri-Op 101 program that ARN developed, and really trying to make it where it is possible for a new grad or a new to specialty nurse, kind of they're learning the same basics of the OR because it's so different. So I think it's important. And maybe I still am kind of on the fence on whether or not you have to have be formally like have a master, like an MBA. I think it's helpful, but I think if you have a good mentor in your leadership team, a lot of times our VPs or directors, they've been around or have that degree as well. And if they're willing, as long as they're willing to mentor you, teach you, but I think it's a huge part of the job, and you have to be willing to understand that in order to be successful. And then also, I think it's a bigger picture, because you have to understand the whole financial side of it for your organization, and how that'll impact you as in perioperative services.
Right. Well, also getting an MBA is a big commitment
Yeah.
when you're like a busy director. So there might be
Right.
other options, that maybe aren't as intense as an MBA program, but that just occurred to me actually.
I think they have, and I know they do have, there are some like, I can't think of the name right now, but like for leaders, there's different leadership like certificates and things like that. And I feel like those touch, they give you that education, maybe not so in depth as an MBA, but having a good like a business operations person, as well as in your organization, the COO and their team, that helps. That was probably one of the hardest things for me. And one place I was going from staff to a leadership role in the same organization. It's very challenging personally, trying to kind of set your own personal boundaries with your peers that are now, they report to you and you're responsible for them. So I do we have, where I'm at currently, there is one of our nurses that's interested in growing her leadership skills. So we talk a lot about that, but I think it's very important to know the job, to know all the aspects. So for like in the operating room, to know the flow of how things go. In order to lead people, I think you need to know what their job is. Doesn't mean you have to be an expert in every specialty that we have, but really know the flow and understand what their challenges are, so that you can help them with that, and that they trust that they trust you, and know that that you're there to support them and lead them. Because I think that's what makes it successful, is having your staff trust you, and they buy in and want to follow you as well. Because as a leader too, you're, especially as a manager, I think you're kind of in the middle, stuck in the middle. And so sometimes there are things that are pushed down from senior leadership, different directives that maybe the staff doesn't understand fully, like what the reason is. And so it's our job to help them understand that, and to help them get on board and help us reach our goal, or whatever the directive is. And so I think it's important to be transparent, to know the job, to support them, and to be out there with them, and be able to jump in and do whatever we need to do if we need to, go circulate a room, or relieve the charge nurse if they need a break, or any of those things. That's still important, to not get too far removed from that, where you don't know what's going on in the day-to-day. Not where I'm at now, but before my there wasn't a succession plan. It was kind of there had been a turnover in the entire leadership team, so that presented an additional layer of challenges, because I was trying to figure it out as I went along. But where I'm at currently, they do a really great job. I think they were short a manager for a while. Our director had been the interim manager, and then before that, she had before I came, she had a few different interims while they were trying to find the permanent person. But the onboarding experience here has been good, and I think what makes a huge difference is the leadership team in general, and that everybody's on the same page, and that when they find the candidate, it's a fit for the team, so that everyone's got the same goal. I think because that's where I think in other places too, I've had a challenge when it's been everybody's on a different page, and trying it. They don't ultimately have the same goal, or they have some other goals that they're trying to achieve. And so I think it makes a huge difference when you're trying to find, even if it means taking a little bit longer to find the right person, but making sure you find the right person and not just filling the position, but finding that person that's gonna commit and stay for a while. That makes a huge difference with the staff as well. It's hard on the staff when they always have every year it's a different person, or 6 months even. It's challenging. So I think really starting and finding somebody, I think anymore it's probably 2 years is probably average. That's just my personal what I've experienced. But I think for staff and leaders too, but building a strong team so that, and having a succession plan is important. And so that when you go away to or move on or wherever you go to next, that they can continue with that same mission and working towards their goals. I think just no standardization for different, like whether it's if you do spine surgeries or total joint surgeries or anything with a certain system, having too many different types of systems, I think that is an opportunity there that you could save money on. Also, and I think working with senior leadership too, as they onboard new surgeons too, that we're working together so that we know how to plan for that, with whether what's in their recruiting package for the new surgeons. It's like, oh, they want all these things. And I think making sure to try to work with them so that everybody is on the same page or can plan for those expenses. And I think, but then again, also really vetting out like what you're trying to standardize, if that's the best thing or the going to be the most cost savings, or is it a lot of work and sweat for not really saving that much money? It's like maybe then move on to something else that will save. That's a bigger cost savings.
That makes sense. It's probably sometimes a struggle with surgeons because they like to use the things that they like to use. So it's
and
probably,
then what they're used to or where they came from before, what
right.
they had too. So trying to find that balance is important.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
It was really great to meet you.
You too. Thank you.